Intro, there's something mysterious, almost sacred, about the human body. And within that mystery, the female body carries a language that most men never learn to understand. A language that doesn't speak with words but with energy, with presence, with how she moves, how she breathes. And yes, with how she tightens up or lets go in your presence. Slavoj Žižek once said that the body is the battlefield of ideology, a place where the deepest emotional conflicts, social expectations, and unconscious desires collide. When a woman tenses her body, when her gestures close up or open up, she's not just reacting to touch or emotion. She's revealing a map of her inner world. This isn't about biology. It's not about anatomy. It's about the psychology of connection. What her body language whispers about her trust, her trauma, her attraction, and her boundaries. So today, we dive into 7 hidden secrets of the female body and what her tightness truly reveals. Because every tightening, every withdrawal, every subtle hesitation is a message. And only the man who learns to read it can truly understand what she's feeling and who she really is beneath the layers of performance and pride. But first, remember this. A woman's body is not a puzzle to solve, but a mirror reflecting the emotional safety she feels around you. When she's open, it's not because you're powerful, and it's because she feels peace. When she's tense, it's not rejection, it's her protection. Your task is not to push harder, but to understand deeper. Let's begin. Her tightness is emotional memory. Žižek believed that human behavior isn't random. It's scripted by unconscious memory. What we call preference, fear, or resistance often comes from stored emotional experiences that never found closure. The same applies to her body. When a woman's body tightens, in her shoulders, in her posture, even in her breath, that's her history speaking. It's not about you. It's about the echo of every moment she felt unsafe, unseen, or unvalued. Maybe she once opened herself to someone who only took and never gave back. Maybe she's been taught that softness is weakness, that being relaxed is vulnerability. Maybe she's never met a man who made her feel she could exhale and still be safe. That tension you feel, it's not rejection. It's protection. Her nervous system remembers pain better than pleasure. Her body closes not to punish you, but to protect her from repeating an old wound. This is where emotional maturity separates the men from the boys. The immature man sees her tension and takes it personally, as resistance, as an insult, as a challenge. The mature man sees it as communication. He doesn't force, he observes. He creates an emotional atmosphere where her body decides to relax. And here's the truth Žižek would emphasize. Freedom doesn't come from control. It comes from understanding. When you understand her body language, you gain not power over her, but power with her. The power of presence, of patience, of quiet safety. So next time you feel her pull away or tighten up or seem guarded, pause, don't react. Recognize that her body is carrying a message that words cannot speak. Because the first secret of the female body is this. Her tightness is not rejection. It's remembrance. The mirror of masculine energy. Now that you know her body holds emotional memory. Here's the next secret. Her body mirrors your energy. Every breath, every shift in her tone, every spark or silence between you reflects the emotional signal you're sending her. Žižek argued that our relationships are reflexive mirrors, that what we call connection is often just two unconscious energies dancing in response to one another. So if her body tightens, sometimes it's not about her past, it's about your present. When a man approaches a woman from anxiety, from the need to prove himself, or from emotional hunger, she feels it. Not with her logic, but with her nervous system. The body senses what words try to hide. She reads your tone before she hears your sentence. She reads your confidence before you ever touch her. If you come from desperation, her body closes. If you come from centeredness, her body opens. It's not magic, it's biology meeting psychology. The masculine presence that makes a woman feel open isn't about dominance. It's about grounded calm. The man who doesn't need to force is the one who's already free, and that freedom creates safety. Žižek once pointed out that true freedom doesn't mean doing whatever you want. It means being free from the need to constantly prove your worth. A man who carries that energy radiates calmness. He doesn't chase. He doesn't convince. He simply is. And in that being, the feminine body finds permission to relax. Because the second secret of the female body is this: her tightness reflects your tension. Her openness reflects your peace. So ask yourself, what kind of energy are you radiating when you're with her? Are you grounded or are you grasping? Do you lead with calm confidence or do you reach with fear disguised as charm? Every time you walk into her emotional space, you invite her body to respond to your energy. And her response will always be honest. Brutally honest, because the body cannot lie. That's why the most magnetic men are not the loudest. They are the most peaceful. Their silence speaks safety. Their calmness speaks confidence. And their presence, their unshakable stillness, tells her body, you can breathe now. When she feels that, her body naturally opens. Not because you've earned it, but because you've given her nervous system the permission it's been craving for years. The armor of control. There's a strange paradox in human intimacy. The more someone wants to be loved, the more they often hide behind control. And for many women, control manifests not just emotionally, but physically. Her tightness becomes her armor. Žižek once observed that society teaches us to perform freedom while secretly fearing exposure. Women are often raised in that paradox. They learn to smile while holding tension, to appear open while guarding their hearts. Her body becomes a choreography of self-protection, a series of small controlled gestures designed to keep her from losing power. When you meet her, you're not meeting one person. You're meeting 1,000 experiences compacted into her posture, her tone, her guarded stillness. Every millimeter of tightness says, I want connection, but I need control. It's not manipulation, it's survival. And here lies the third secret of the female body. Tightness is the physical expression of emotional control. It's the line between surrender and self-preservation. When a woman has lived in chaos, inconsistent affection, broken promises, emotional noise, she builds control into her body. Her shoulders stay firm, her jaw clenches when feelings arise. Even her breath becomes measured as if every inhale must be earned. The masculine mistake is to interpret that as coldness. But it's not. It's just the only way she knows how to feel safe in a world that has punished her softness. If you try to overpower that control, she resists harder. If you rush her walls, she builds them higher. But if you meet her with presence and still, grounded, unthreatening, the control begins to dissolve. She starts to realize she doesn't need to control to stay safe. She doesn't need to tighten to remain powerful. Because your stability replaces her armor, and slowly she lets go. Not because you took her defenses down, but because you gave her something stronger to lean on, your calm certainty. So, remember this truth. When you sense control in her body, don't fight it. Respect it. Because control is the scar of past chaos, and your patience is the medicine that teaches her body to trust freedom again. Desire and shame in conflict. To understand the fourth secret, you must grasp one of Žižek's most powerful ideas. He said, desire is born from prohibition. We want what we're not supposed to have. And nowhere is that tension more visible than in the female body. When desire and shame collide, the body becomes the battlefield. A woman may want connection, passion, depth, yet her conditioning whispers that too much desire makes her easy, that vulnerability equals weakness, that pleasure is dangerous. So she tightens, not because she doesn't feel desire, but because she feels too much of it. This is the fourth secret. Her tightness often hides forbidden desire. The conflict between what she feels and what she's allowed to express creates friction. Physical, emotional, psychological. Her body becomes a paradox of longing and resistance. Žižek often joked that modern love is a neurotic negotiation between freedom and fear. That's what you're witnessing in her. A negotiation. Her body argues between two voices. One says, "I want to feel." The other says, "It's not safe to feel." The tragedy is that many men misinterpret this as rejection or disinterest. But the truth is, the stronger the attraction, the stronger the tension. She's not pulling away because you don't matter. She's pulling away because you matter too much. Here's what she subconsciously tests. Can this man handle my desire without judging it? Can he see my intensity without trying to own it? Can I be wild, open, emotional, and know and still be safe? Your calm presence answers all three without words. When she feels your grounded acceptance, her shame begins to dissolve. Her body starts to unlearn the false lesson that pleasure must come with guilt. She discovers that being open doesn't mean being used. It means being seen. And that's what Žižek meant when he said that love is a violent act of grace. It's the courage to break the internal censorship, to allow the full range of emotion to exist without fear. When you embody that permission, her body finds peace, and tightness turns into flow. So remember, if she seems conflicted, if her body both invites and resists you, don't take it as confusion. See it as proof that she's standing at the edge of transformation. Your steadiness gives her the courage to cross it. The nervous system reads truth. By now you understand her tightness as memory, as mirror, as armor, and as the shadow of desire. But there's another layer Žižek would point out, the biological honesty of the human body. You can fake words, fake smiles, fake intentions, but the nervous system never lies. That's the fifth secret. Her body responds to truth faster than her mind can deny it. Every human being carries a silent radar for authenticity. And women, especially those who've lived through emotional chaos, have that radar sharpened to survival precision. When you speak from ego, her body senses falseness before her mind interprets it. When you speak from calm truth, her body releases tension, often before she even realizes it. You cannot trick the body with charm, status, or performance, because authenticity has a frequency, and the body tunes into it instantly. Žižek called this the ideological symptom, the place where the body refuses to cooperate with the lies we tell ourselves. If you say you're confident but secretly seek validation, her body feels the dissonance. If you act detached but crave approval, she senses it before you finish your sentence. That's why real masculine energy is not performance. It's alignment. When your words, intentions, and emotions move in the same direction, the energy around you becomes clean. Her nervous system reads that signal as safety, and safety invites openness. This is not manipulation. It's biological truth. Her body doesn't relax because you made it. It relaxes because it finally feels congruence, the absence of hidden motives. So if you want to reach her deeper than touch, deeper than conversation, be real. Not performatively real, but quietly authentic. Mean what you say. Feel what you express. Let your silence hold more honesty than your compliments. Because her body doesn't respond to words. It responds to truth, and the paradox Žižek would smile at is this. You don't need to understand the female body to connect with it. You need to understand yourself. When you are whole, she feels it. When you are chaotic, she braces for it. Your inner harmony is the signal her body has been waiting for. So the fifth secret is simple but revolutionary. Her tightness releases in the presence of truth. And truth isn't spoken, and it's felt. Emotional surrender and psychological safety. There's a line Žižek often returned to. Freedom is not the absence of structure. It is the mastery within structure. In love, that truth takes form through emotional safety. Because for a woman, surrender is not weakness, and it is the highest expression of trust. But trust cannot exist in chaos. Her body only softens when it senses a structure strong enough to hold her vulnerability. That structure is your presence. Not control, not dominance, not noise, but steady emotional gravity. When she feels that gravity, her nervous system begins to unclench. The sixth secret of the female body is this. Surrender only happens when safety is undeniable. You cannot demand it. You can only invite it. Safety is built in micro moments, the pauses between your words, the way you listen instead of interrupt, the consistency of your tone, the steadiness of your eyes. Every time she feels that consistency, her body records, I can rest here. Most men chase surrender by force. They push for closeness. They interpret her hesitation as a challenge. But her hesitation is simply the echo of every unsafe experience she's ever had. It takes time for the body to believe what the mind hopes is true. Žižek would say that love becomes real only when the illusion of control dissolves. To create safety, you must first release your own performance. Stop trying to be impressive, stop trying to be the hero, stop trying to win. Instead, become a space of calm acceptance. Because here's the paradox. When a woman finally feels safe, her body doesn't just relax. It remembers what freedom feels like. And that freedom awakens her natural softness, her laughter, her radiance. She returns to her original rhythm. The rhythm she lost while surviving a world that punished her openness. So never mistake surrender for submission. Surrender is not her losing power. It's her regaining it in your presence. It's her body saying, I no longer need to defend myself from you. And that is the deepest compliment a man can ever receive. Not her words, not her affection, but her unguarded exhale. Because in that exhale, she is telling you, I'm home. The feminine release and the power of presence. When Žižek speaks of transformation, he calls it the moment when the mask no longer fits the face. That's exactly what happens in the final secret of the female body. Her body releases when it finally stops performing. The seventh secret is this. True openness is the result of masculine stillness. In a world of noise, the most powerful energy you can offer is silence. Not the absence of words, but the presence that needs none. When you are calm, grounded, fully here, not in fantasy, not in fear, her body senses that stability and begins to synchronize with it. Her breathing slows to match yours. Her voice softens. Her movements lose tension, because the body always looks for a rhythm strong enough to trust. And this is where most relationships fail. Men try to awaken connection through stimulation. More words, more effort, more excitement. But stimulation without depth only creates more noise. The feminine body doesn't crave entertainment. It craves energy that feels safe enough to surrender to. Presence is not what you do. It's who you are when doing nothing. It's the calmness between your heartbeat and your awareness. When she feels that stillness, her body begins to open as if drawn by gravity. Not to your charm, not to your looks, but to your centered energy. Žižek would laugh and say, Love is the most terrifying form of truth because it exposes who you are when the performance ends. And he's right. When a woman opens in your presence, she's not just reacting to attraction, she's responding to authenticity. Her body releases only when it can finally trust that the man in front of her is not pretending. So if you want to experience that release, stop trying to prove, persuade, or perform. Be still, be consistent. Let your calm energy speak louder than any clever word could. Because her body will always believe presence over promises. And when that moment happens, when she finally relaxes, breathes and looks at you with quiet peace, understand that you are witnessing something sacred. Not conquest, not victory, but the purest form of connection the human body can express. Openness born from safety. Žižek's reflection on truth, love in the body, at the end of all his contradictions and chaos. Žižek would likely say this: the body is the unconscious made visible. Every gesture, every silence, every tightening is the language of the soul speaking through flesh. So, what does her tightness reveal? It reveals everything. Her past, her fears, her boundaries, her longing, and most importantly, her need for truth. You see, love is not found in perfection. It's found in awareness. When you see her, truly see her, not as an object to decode, but as a being to understand, you rise above the superficial and step into the sacred. Because the real secret was never about her body. It was about your energy. Her openness is not your achievement, it's your reflection. When you embody stability, her body responds. When you embody chaos, she shields herself. When you lead with truth, she softens into trust. And that's the philosophy Žižek leaves us with. Human connection is not logical, it's paradoxical. The more you try to possess it, the more it slips away. But the moment you stop chasing, stop proving, and simply be, the body responds with honesty. So the 7 secrets of the female body are not just about her. They are lessons for every man who seeks to understand love beyond performance. Her tightness is memory. Her body mirrors your energy. Her control is armor. Her desire hides behind shame. Her nervous system reads truth. Her surrender requires safety. Her openness answers presence. When you embody these truths, you don't just understand women better. You evolve as a man. You become the calm in her storm, the stillness in her chaos, the gravity that grounds her back into peace. And maybe that's what Žižek meant all along. That love isn't about 2 bodies finding each other. It's about 2 truths finally recognizing themselves in one another. So the next time you see her tighten, don't react. Reflect. Because her body isn't closing to reject you. It's asking you to show her a reason to open again.